It's now time for America's Money Maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Vicki, how are you?
Wonderful, George. How are you this Sunday morning?
Listen, I'm doing great this Sunday morning. Glad to be here with you. I'm so excited. Listen, it's Labor Day weekend. What more could you ask for?
It came too fast.
That's true, right? All of a sudden, we were here.
You know, and I felt really, really strange in saying this because everybody's talking about erasing 2020, you know, redo 2020s, restart 2020. But and a lot of the things that we've gone through as far as the issues this year have made time seem like it's moving slower. And then all of a sudden we went July, August, September. I went, wait a minute, okay? This is Labor Day weekend, we're starting
already. And
exactly.
You know, tough week. You know, we had Chasman Bozeman pass. We had John Thompson. You know, it's just been such a week. So yeah, I mean, it's such a year, I should say, among many other things that have happened.
Among many other things, and you're right. Okay, and our condolences to both of those families.
Yes.
And also, I saw a really heart-wrenching image. It was a little boy. He was a little black boy. He was probably about 6 to 8, somewhere in that range. He had all of his action figures in a circle.
Yes.
And the Black Panther was right in the middle. He was sitting there with the Wakanda forever symbol, but he was crunched over like the weight of the world had just smashed him. You could see the tears, the tracks, okay, a little bit in his eyes.
Sure.
And that's how we all felt.
Yeah. I was just amazed at all the different tributes and all of the different ways that America in many ways responded. I was one of the many people who watched Black Panther again. And
I did too.
And so
watched it with the commercials, so you know I really wanted to see it.
Oh yeah, you watched it with the commercials, and of course there was a commercial-free version also.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, there was and also it was also available on streaming services as well if you had that. But I think many people collectively decided to watch, as you said, during that time that it was made available in prime time on that. I believe it was last Sunday. So. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you know, this ties into many of the conversations we've had before, George, and that is we must understand more. And I try and do this myself every day, how things overlap and how they connect.
Yes.
Okay? Because we probably, you know, on the surface level, everybody understood what having the first Black superhero meant, but they really didn't understand on the cellular, down in your soul, what that meant until we lost.
Yes.
Okay, until we lost Chad this week. All right. Before I go any further, too, I want to thank all of our listeners. I've been getting great feedback, but I haven't had a chance to recently really tell you and the listeners how much I really appreciate all the feedback and the love that comes from toward this show. And I want to do a shout out because my mom is listening this morning.
Hey, Mom.
I want to say hello to Ellen Brackens.
Hey, Mom.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We left last week with a obligation or a commitment that we would come back and tackle the beginning of a subject that I know is pressing on many people right now, and that is how do you deal with insurmountable debt?
Yeah, big time.
Big time, okay? And the first thing I want to say is in the beginning there was the Word.
Okay.
And it took me years for that to really sink in. In the beginning, there was the Word. The words we use to describe the places that we are or the status that we are in.
Come on now.
Often contributes to how difficult or not, how much power we have to conquer or move through a situation.
Well,
I want everyone to stop using the word insurmountable.
Right. Let's start with that. Right.
Let's start right there.
Right there.
Insurmountable.
Preach, sister, preach.
We have debt Probably more than we would like or possibly should have. That's another conversation.
Right.
But if we continue to brand it as insurmountable, we create, and this is not a, you know, feel good kind of conversation. This is a truth.
Right.
How you brand a situation will create for you the path that you're trying to walk. So let's stop with insurmountable.
Can I speak to that a minute? We were just having that conversation with my daughter, who is a grad student. And certainly when you're in grad school or when you're in undergraduate school, you don't feel like you have some money. And she was talking, and the language she used was like, I'm poor, I'm in poverty, I'm in poor. I was like, stop that right now. That's not your situation. So stop, because you're then, what do you call it? You're creating the reality that you keep speaking of. So stop it right there. So that's a great example, right?
All right. So if you recall, George, and those who've been listening to us, and if you need to go back, go onto brackensfsn.com into on the radio, go to episode number 1.
Okay.
Episode number 1 talked about that pyramid.
Yes.
Episode number 1, we gave you the language that you need to go through as far as your status. And we said, first thing, it was poverty, poor,
right,
then broke.
Right.
We often confuse broke with poor. Poor was without resource and without options.
Thank you.
There are very few situations where we have no options and no resources at the same time.
Sure.
That's when you are truly poor. Insurmountable debt, take the word insurmountable away. We're going to say we have more debt than we want or need, and we are going to look at strategies for conquering that debt. And I want you to start using the word conquering that debt.
Sure.
So here's the first strategy. How much is it really?
For real.
For
right?
real, for real. Okay.
What's the number? It's a number.
What is the number?
Right.
Often I have conversations and I say, Ms. Brackens, I just can't get out of debt. I got so much. I said, well, how much is it? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay. I know that I have all these bills coming in, which is an issue around cash flow. But what is the real principal number? How much? So if you also go back into listening to some of these episodes we've done, George, what do we talk about? Organizing.
Yes.
You need to stop right now and let's organize the debt. How much is it really?
Really.
Here are the factors that we need. What's the principal? Under what terms was the debt created? Is it a ongoing consumer debt that you just keep paying for, and there's no terminal number? Or is it an actual debt that had, like a mortgage, $200,000 borrowed, we have to pay for it for the next 30 years in monthly installments? What are the terms? And the third thing, what's the carrying cost? Carrying cost is the interest rate.
Right.
How much is the servicing? What's the carrying cost before we actually pay off the principal? We need those 3 factors because we can't start making decisions until we understand the characteristics of that debt. So stop right now. Stop using the word insurmountable. We are going to conquer, that is our word, conquer the debt. And the first step is to organize and understand what we have. Step number 2, once you have created, I want you to do, I don't want this on the back of a napkin.
Right.
Okay.
You want an Excel spreadsheet.
I want a real document. Okay. Excel is fine. If you don't understand Excel or know how to use it, put in a Word document.
Or pen and paper with some columns.
Pen and paper. But make sure that it's written down with those 3 factors. What's the principal? What are the terms? And what's the carrying cost? What's the interest rate? Get that all together. And now we have at least a framework and a picture of what you really have. From there, we want to organize the debt into categories. Long-term, short-term. That's all I want you to do. Long-term, short-term. Short-term is, I went down to, is Macy's still open? I went down to Macy's last month.
Right.
I took out my Macy's card. I charged up $200 for some jeans and a couple of shirts. and I'm getting this debt that actually I could retire in a very short period of time if I concentrated on it, if I didn't let it just keep rolling and didn't keep adding to it. Long term, my student loan. I signed for over the 4 or 5 years of my academic career, under undergraduate, and I have $150,000 worth of debt, and I have signed for it for 30 years.
Right.
See how I choked on that?
Yeah.
30 years. Okay.
And would you also add into that parent loans as well, or just student loans?
Right. Those are long term. Okay.
Okay. I'm just saying, but you're adding that
long
category
term,
as well.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But understand this: the parent loan is the parent's loan.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a different document.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The student loan, okay, as far as the individual student that they are obligated to, that's their document. How we address that as far as how it gets paid, that's a different story. Right now, we just want to organize so we can see really what we have and what we're obligated to, because what's happening is it's creating its own mushroom in our heads. We're constantly thinking about it. We don't really have any form around it. It's creating its own energy. It's becoming bigger and bigger. It's our insurmountable feeling.
And I feel, Vicki, the lack of confrontation of that, or the dealing with that, is also the cause of a lot of stress and anxiety for people. Or you're reiterating, I'm just reiterating what you already just said. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. And we need to bring that. I'm not saying ignore. You hear me? I didn't say ignore, but we need to bring not just emotional, the physical emotionality. Your blood pressure is going up more and more that you think about this, and you don't take it from the abstract to the absolute. We're trying to pull it down from the abstract to the absolute, so that we can start to tackle this.
Or not thinking about it. That's another problem.
But here's the thing. Right. I can guarantee you, this is one of the and I know my industry, I'm never supposed to say the word guarantee, so I'm going to say it this word. I can absolutely tell you, there is not a person that I have ever worked with who is not thinking about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Not dealing with it. They're thinking about it, but not dealing with it. That's what I'm saying.
Dealing with it, but they are thinking about it.
They're thinking about it. Okay.
They're always thinking about it. Okay. They're waiting for that phone call to come. They're looking at their mail kind of sideways every time they go to the mailbox, because they know the envelope is blue and I don't see a blue envelope. I'm good this week. Okay?
How you do it? You look at it sideways.
Yes, I'm serious. Okay. I've lived a life. You understand that. You're looking at it sideways, looking for the wrong, that blue envelope is in there. I cannot deal with that blue envelope.
Right, that's funny.
Okay, so we need to take it from the abstract, which is causing all of this, to a concrete, because we can chop down concrete things. We cannot deal with abstract. It's like reaching through the air trying to grab it.
Right.
All right, so those are the first steps. We're gonna go through steps a week. Okay. I think if you did that this week and came back to the segment next week, we'll go from those steps, which is, how much do I really have? And when I say how much we need the name of the organization, what the principal amount is, what are the terms, and what's the carrying cost on a document.
And if, like in my case, as a small business, is that a separate thing to look at, or do you include that as well?
Oh, I would rather have it on two documents.
So this is the business and this is the personal.
Exactly. Okay. Because that's also critical. Thank you for doing that. That's a critical thing, because many of our businesses are like this.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Like
and
me.
Every good accountant will tell you, and we all have these issues, and we have to work on them, Vicki included, to keep those things separated, particularly when you are the business.
Correct.
George Kilpatrick or Vicki, we are the business.
Correct.
Okay? We'll talk about that probably in 6 weeks from now, of how to no longer be the business, but to be in the business.
Right,
okay?
right.
All right, okay. So George, at this point in time, if you have any questions, if anybody listening has any questions, feel free to give us a call at area code 315-930-4499. You can follow us on Facebook. You can like us, please like us on Facebook. Okay, you can go in and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and also follow us on Twitter. And at this point, George, I think I should say our plate is full.
All right. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial member SIPC, and you know her as America's Money Maker.